video, I'm taking a look at Vision Semih, who's a masterclass user. He's had it for 2 weeks and he's managed to win the EU Solo Cash Cup. Last week they managed to make earnings, and this week they managed to get 2 really impressive wins. And the craziest part about this isn't just the crazy improvement that they've had, but the fact they weren't using Rocket at all. Just now, about 20 minutes ago at the time of recording, the Rocket got a massive nerf, which only got 3 charges, and Semih wasn't using the Rocket at all. He only picked one up in his second win, like second moving. So there's a lot of things you guys can go ahead and learn on how to rotate without the Rocket earlier zones to go ahead and give yourself an advantage and have those Rocket charges later on in the game, as well as some really well played wins by him. For Semih's drop, he's going ahead and landing at this castle over towards the west hand side of the map. The very key thing when I spawn is the fact that you need to have good drops for it, obviously, and of course that you need to go ahead and make sure that you're winning it every single game. Land there and rank the whole time. Go ahead and practice it as much as possible. Do your spawn customs. Just make sure you can play 3 end games out from your spawn, and of course you're always going to be trying to get your cash later on into the game. Another very key thing with your drop is that you can go ahead and loot up and actually farm up cap, wood and brick, as well as around 200 to 250 metal at least during the early path, as you can see this what he does here. And very nicely is he re-rolls with the extra gold that he got from a couple of safes, and he's able to go ahead and get Keymaster. And as you can see, pretty much the benefit of all of these sort of split drops compared to the POI is you can get super stacked quickly, which is going to really help with getting your cash later on. If you ever have to fight somebody as well, it's going to be a massive advantage. Now, second zone's closing in. He's pretty much done with his off spawn. All he needs to do is get in a good position to get his cash later on, keep on getting ammo, and you're going to notice here he's carrying C4 to intentionally be able to get his cash, since that's so important to winning a game. Now, your positioning on the second zone as it starts to close in fully is really important, because it's going to allow you to go ahead and get a cash. What I'd always recommend doing is predicting where the zone is going to go ahead and shrink in. So as you can see here, zone is pulling up towards the north, but not fully north, right? It's not going to go obviously max up towards the north. So what you want to do is try to put yourself near an edge of where that third zone is probably going to pull to. So as you can see here, Semih instantly goes ahead and zip lines to where his cash spawns, as you can see. And it's a very useful trick that you can go ahead and do. And he actually hears somebody else's cash spawn right next to him. So he gets his initial cash, as you can see here, goes ahead and claims it. And if you guys go around the congested side of zone, I won't say the exact distance, but you're going to be able to find a lot of cash. As you can see, it's cash right there, another cash right there, and there's another cash right there, as well as I'm fairly certain there's going to be a cache somewhere in this area here, as you can see right there. And this basically means that he is going to go ahead, and because he's positioned well in second zone, be able to get a lot of extra slurps. Since right now you only get 1 slurp inside your actual cache, so if you can get 2 and steal 2, it's really effective. You're going to see what he does is lays a little C4 trap, since he was able to get to his cache first, spots another cache right next to him, as you can see, and he's going to go ahead and claim this, and now he's going to be super stacked for this entire game with 2 caches worth of loot. So right here, Semih has somebody else steal his cache, and he has to go ahead and fight for this with the infiltrator pump. With the cache changes, only 1 slurp, I do think you can get away with, let's say, not going for your cache, but it definitely still is going to help you win games, and it is really important to have that 1 slurp. So what does he do? He goes ahead and builds an L-shaped box to approach from above, and he's going to be very patient when his pickaxe swings it. The opponent's actually got very good ping. He struggles to get this cone for a while. He also just can't get the floor, so he does something very smart in a second here. He realizes he's not approaching the floor correctly. Other guy's just holding it, so he swaps up his ankle. He's going to turn the guy's attention over to this wall, and then come back and go ahead and replace the floor. It's really important that you guys do angle swapping and things like that, and it allows him to get this opening bit of damage. Right here though is he makes a mistake. Instead of shooting his pistol and then holding a stair or something into the guy's box, he drops down and just does a very obvious double pickaxe. The guy holds the wall, of course, like he's done the whole fight, and he gets hit to low HP. He does do a very good job though of counter peeking. You see here, he does a smart counter peek, doesn't over peek into it, and then he's going to go ahead and play his space, and there's another really nice counter peek as the opponent made that mistake right there. And now the cache is about to open, which is really important that he keeps up the pressure. He doesn't allow the guy to just chill and go ahead and sit on the cache. Instead, he pressures, keeps on forcing the opponent back, as you can see here, keeps on pressuring, goes ahead and forces the guy back, and then now the cache is going to go ahead and spawn, and you can actually get the loot from it. He does a very good job of making sure he's not exposed to the stair edit, and now here, he's going to go ahead and aggro this other player, and take a look how he does this. First of all, is he goes ahead and uses SMG instead of pickaxing directly on the wall, as you can see. Swaps up his angle again, so now the guy's holding the wrong wall. Then he comes back, other opponent's now getting sprayed. He's able to grab the wall as it gets sprayed out, get an easy kill. And now he's basically perfectly set up because he gets the rocket from that. And it's going to allow him to have really good mats. You can see cat mats, and he's got the rocket in his box, which you can use later on if he needs. A lot of people really struggle with mid-game rotates this season, especially when they're stacked. For some reason, they think because they're stacked, they need to keep on forcing rotates. The key thing with all mid-game rotates is trying to keep your mats as good as possible. So you can see right here, that Semih's been rotating, he gets ambushed, and it's the correct thing. Just going into this building, blocks off the angles, and then now he's going to go ahead and just refarm and not expose himself, right? The really key thing is he's not exposing himself, he's not running around in the open, he's not taking more unnecessary damage. Instead, he's just going to refarm this entire building for about a minute, get his mats as good as possible, and then as soon as zone is about to pop in a second here, he's going to go ahead and pop his big pot and get ready to instantly rotate to where zone pulls. So as you can see, pops his big pot. Now as the other player is thinking about their rotate, the one that was holding him, the guy up here, he is going to go ahead and do his rotate at the exact same time. You can see they both leave their box at the same time. He waits for that visual audio cue, and now he's able to rotate in zone. And what should you do on a zone like this? Instead of forcing your way deep, especially because this is 5th zone, instead he just gets into a good position, goes ahead and refarms his mats once again, and keeps his mat advantage as strong as possible since he has such good heals as well. One of the worst things you can do is try to greed for a refarm in the open, or go ahead and be a little bit too greedy with trying to burn through bigs to get to a center zone position. Instead, box up, don't expose yourself, and get ready for the next zone rotate. As you can see here, it's a really bad zone pull, but he does an instant rotate again, and he's going to go ahead and use his line of sight really well. Doesn't go towards the people that were next to him. Instead, he line of sights behind, and he's able to rotate in completely for free here. And he also does a very good job of not drawing attention to himself. Especially when you know where somebody is, it's very tempting to shoot them in the back. However, he does the correct thing, which is just using visual audio to make sure he doesn't go too close to the other player. And then now he's going to catch a free rotate into zone, going completely edge, as you can see here. Refarms all of his mats as he comes in, uses the redeploy perk as well to catch even more distance. And then now he's going to be running in on edge of Storm and be able to save so many mats. You can see he's not built a single thing on this rotate. Instead, he's able to just refarm his mats and go into zone really effectively. Uses line of sight once more. Now as these other players are getting looked at and getting focused, he starts building wood, and he's able to get in. And as he comes in zone, of course, he swaps into hard mats, boxes up, and he still has a really good amount of mats compared to all these other players. Now as we come into 8th zone here, you might notice something very interesting, is that Semih still doesn't have a rocket. He hasn't carried a rocket once in all of his games, and he's left into this very difficult rotate. However, you've got to remember, everyone around him is going to go ahead and rocket, as you can see, and that basically means that he's got left with a free rotate into zone. He does a very good job here of realizing there's a guy sitting backside. Should have maybe used some more wood to make sure he doesn't get pumped, but as you can see, he's able to go ahead and just build his way into zone. Everybody is busy fighting each other after getting slammed with rockets, and that means he's able to get down into low ground completely for free. You'll notice here there's not a single other player down on low ground around Semih, just because nobody really plays low ground earlier zones in the rocket round meta. So if you're playing no mobility, you can definitely get away with doing rotates like that. He does the exact same thing on first move as well in the second tier. Now as we come to first moving, Semih does a very nice play again in the second tier. First of all, is he wants to try to find a potential refresh, especially because he's got a slurp, and he obviously could do with a rocket. So what he does is he checks if this guy's got a wood cone or not, and then now realizing he's got a wood cone, he was just this fraction too late, otherwise he would have got a free kill here. Because remember, whenever somebody does a rocket, it breaks all their builds except their cone, and you can easily just go ahead and get a max map refresh if he was a little bit earlier. So you can see, gets the guy very low HP, but unfortunately doesn't quite get that kill, so he's left to rotating on foot. He does the correct thing, which is grabbing some of the extra mats that were left right there, and then now he's going to go ahead and rotate down on low ground. And look how free this rotate is as well. Literally nobody looks at him this entire rotate, and he's able to go ahead and get himself into a really good position. And very crucially here is he sticks to the edge of zone, especially when you're playing Storm with this up. As you can see, he sticks towards the right hand side edge, and he's going to stick to this edge for the entirety of moving zone. So you're going to see he gets into zone, he gets a little bit deeper than everybody else is, blocks off the angle of wood, gets a little bit deeper in, and then now second moving pulse, it's actually going to play far. He's going to keep on sticking to this edge of zone, which is really important. He's going to try to hold this edge for the entirety of moving. Wood tumps forward as everybody starts slamming into zone. He's going to intentionally go really far into that right hand side to make sure nobody slams into him, and he gets a really free kill on backside. Take a look how he plays for this. Instead of rushing straight for the loop while everybody else will be looking at it, instead what he does is play really patient. He's going to go ahead and play a slurp right here. Then he's going to go ahead and play back in Storm while nobody's looking at him, grab the med mist, which is really key, and also go ahead and finally get a rocket. And now he's basically got a perfect loadout to do well this game. With this rocket ram, he's able to go ahead and do a load of damage to these other players, grief their mats, as well as land in the end of zone down on low ground, exactly where he wants to be. And he's still got very good mats, of course. Right here, his second moving pulls really far. Semih does a very good play. First of all, he doesn't just run out of his box or go ahead and cannon instantly. Instead, he plays his slurp and his med miss back at Storm. The reason why this is so good is because this game he wasn't actually carrying a cannon, so he couldn't really do that instant rotate. And what he's going to allow everyone else to do is to rotate themselves. And they're all, of course, going to get broken out by cannons, have all their mats grief, like this guy that was looking at him. All these other players are now rotating, and he can come out from the back of Storm really easily and basically for free, as you can see. One very smart thing that he does here is while he's got his slurp ticking, he doesn't immediately get back in zone. Instead, he tanks Storm even further, gets himself down towards front side where Storm's pulling, and very nicely here is he's able to find himself in a box versus a guy who is low HP after cannoning from backside. Those people that cannon from backside are always going to go ahead and land in Storm front side. If you can cut them off and don't get slammed into, you can have a really juicy refresh, exactly what you got here. Now the rest of this game is absolutely perfect stuff from him. He goes ahead and just tarps down on low ground. As you can see, he's got this massive mat advantage. He has a low open space to go ahead and play from. And then now here, as he gets in third moving, he does a really good job of conserving his slurp, as you can see. As Storm pulls up this hill here, instead of pre-popping his slurp and wasting it, instead, he goes ahead and tanks wide, as you can see, gets into the end of zone, and then now he's in a really good position here to just med mist up to full. And very nicely is he's playing these low ground layers when it's a hill zone, right? So everybody's going to be focused on getting up and over the hill, and he's able to just play low ground down here completely to himself when everyone is up top. As we come into final moving here, Semih plays this last zone situation absolutely perfectly. First of all, is he's ready for the zone top. He's not looking to fight. As soon as zone pulls, he's instantly sprinting front side and building a box down front side low ground. He also doesn't look to trade. At this point in time, a lot of players think, oh, I need to fight for the game-winning play or the game-winning loot or a refresh. However, it's all about how stacked you can be going into the 1v1. So what does he do? Instead of fighting this player that's on his wall right here, which a lot of players might do in this situation, as you can see the other guy's pretty shambles, and you'd get a decent refresh from it, that isn't going to help you win the game, because you're going to get pumped to 120 or 150 if he's got first shotgun. It's going to go ahead and put you in a bad spot. Instead, he plays nice and slow. Other guy ends up dying to Storm, as you can see. He's going to now tank his slurp backside, get some of the mats from the guy that died in the Storm, and he's left in a 1v1. I can't tell you guys, if you can get it down to 1v1, it's literally a 50-50 whether you win or not. So as you can see here, other player doesn't have Siphon, he doesn't have any HP, and Semih plays this really well. First of all, is he quickly aggresses, instead of allowing himself to get chopped down, he quickly aggresses as the other player has his AR out. Now, the other guy is going to go ahead and line up a bad pump, not quite hit a shot. Semih plays Storm really well here, swings to the right, and goes ahead and takes out the other player, and gets an easy win. Now, third moving goes ahead and pulls right here. Semih does a really good play. First of all, is he tries to look for a refresh as the zone swaps, as other players distracted looking at the zone, and then he instantly goes ahead and gets towards front side. He doesn't just build one box on the front side where it's really easy to get slammed into and then have no space and then just get jumped in on. Instead, he builds another box with a 2-1, and then he tries to build an L-shaped box here. However, one player does slam into him as he's on the front side. He does the absolute correct thing though, which is playing back in his space, healing up, and then now he's going to go ahead and re-aggress the other player since they're still in his edits and since they're still in the area that he sort of controls down on low ground. He re-aggresses, gets a nice shot right there. And very crucially is he gets out of the box. Don't just sit in a box when there's loads of loot, especially like things like keys. People will see it and hear it and they'll go ahead and aggro it back. Instead, he gets out, goes ahead and gets the big pot. And this is where he does the game-winning play. So what he does is he gets himself to 200 HP and he's going to go ahead and play his med miss back in the Storm. Also very smartly, he isn't faff around getting any of the extra loot like picking up minis. He knows he only needs this med mist and to make this play happen. And what does he do? He's going to go ahead and lurk backside on heights on third moving. So as third moving is closing in, this other player is running out of mats on height, as you can see. He shoots him out, plays his med mist for a second. I think he probably should have tried to beam him right there just to get a bit of damage. However, it is the correct thing, just getting over the top of him, as you can see with those cones, and then does not do a damage trade, especially when you're one pumpable. Does not do a damage trade, just plays that mat advantage he has from that refresh, and then now he's up on height, and the entire lobby is going to die out. I can't tell you guys, if you can get it down to these situations in the endgame, let the lobby die out, as you can see. Get yourself as healthy as possible. That's exactly what he's doing. He's playing the rest of his med mist, and now he's in a 1v1. He does not want this other player down on low ground to spend time getting all of the mats on low ground. So what does he do? He interrupts him straight away. There's a cannon slam straight into him, sends the guy back. Now he's cracked him. All he needs to do is take his time and hit these shots. I do think he rushed this 1v1 a little bit. He should have reloaded his guns before he chopped him out, as you can see, because now he's basically a pump 50-50. But luckily enough, he's able to hit his shots. Hits one shot right there, swaps back, and then hits the second shot to go ahead and win the cash cup. Really well played to him. A lot of useful things you guys can learn, especially about how he played those final zone situations. With that height backside flank in this game we just watched, as well as how he played low ground in the first win that he got to get it into 1v1. That was easily winnable.